When Peter Parker dies, does Miles Morales have what it takes to step up as the world's new Spider-Man? Miles' first night out begins at the Brooklyn Visions Academy, where the kids are receiving some troubling news. Everything is going to be okay. You said Spider-Man's been shot and the city's going crazy. How is that okay? Miles whispers to his best friend Ganke, the only person on Earth who knows Miles was recently bitten by a radioactive spider. Cover for me. Miles pulls off his shoes, rolls up his jeans, and timidly scales down the building's wall. He's still just getting used to these new sticky fingers of his. We flash out to Peter Parker's last stand, where he's maskless and battling this universe's monstrous green goblin. Spidey smashes the goblin with a truck. From across town, Miles sneaks toward the battle, but he sees a massive pillar of fire engulfing Peter. Miles races across town before it's too late to help. As Miles approaches, he sees it is indeed too late. Peter lies in the grass covered in blood and unmasked to the world as he slowly dies in Aunt May's arms. It's okay, I did it. Peter couldn't make up for his failure to save Uncle Ben, but today he could save Aunt May. Mary Jane holds Peter's lifeless body. Miles finds a distraught Gwen Stacy crying on the ground. What was his name? Peter Parker. The next morning, Ganke reads the news of Spider-Man's death and the revelation that New York's friendliest hero was a high schooler. You were there? You saw it? This was my fault. Miles refused to use the powers he'd been given when he first got them. If he was there to help Peter, Spider-Man might still be alive. Or maybe you would have gotten killed too. I was given these powers for a reason. Miles slumps to the floor in his silence. Ganke walks over to comfort his friend. Maybe this is what you were given the powers for. Maybe you're supposed to be Spider-Man now that we don't have one anymore. Later, seemingly half the city joins together for Peter Parker's funeral. Ganke and Miles fight for their way to the front, passing Aunt May. A young girl with burn marks across her face asks May if she was Peter's mother. No, sweetie, I'm his aunt. But you made him breakfast like his mommy? Yes, sweetie, I did. When I was little, Spider-Man saved me from a fire so I didn't die. Gwen once again begins to weep. Miles tries to make eye contact with the girl he'd met the other day. Why did he do it? Why did he become Spider-Man? Gwen glares at Miles. That was Chillery. Gwen turns away from May and marches toward Miles and Ganke. She holds her glare and stands inches away from the two kids. Because his uncle, the guy who raised him, died. Peter thought he died because even though he had these powers, he didn't do anything to help. At least, that's the way Peter saw it, and his uncle told him these words. Words he lived by, that with great power comes great responsibility, okay? Why did he wear a mask though? Because he didn't need anyone to know who he was to be a hero. It looked cool. A few hours later, Miles is scribbling in a notebook. He's creating a suit of his own, a sleeker one, lined with black. It looks bad. Oh my god, do I not know how to do this? Ganke comes in holding a shopping bag. He pulls out the contents, a Spider-Man Halloween costume. You gotta be kidding me. Miles pulls it out of the case. It's the same one Ganke wore last year, when an old lady lectured the teens for trick-or-treating at that age. Miles wonders for a second if it's in bad taste to wear the costume of a man who just died, but only for a second. Miles dons the costume and takes to the streets of New York, bounding across buildings and wondering how he could ever just go sit in school all day anymore. But a loud crash interrupts his thoughts. Later, we see a Daily Bugle story about what happened. He fought the Kangaroo, a dangerous career criminal for Miles' debut battle as the new Spider-Man. It was described as a clumsy dance, but all New Yorkers agreed on one thing. It really was in bad taste. Miles curls up on the floor in his costume as Ganke reads the article out loud. Together they wonder if this suit was a bad idea. I thought they loved Spider-Man. I remember they used to dump on him too. A knock at their dorm room's door jolts them to their feet. It's their other roommate, Judge, upset that his two buddies keep locking him out of the room. Ganke opens the door, careful to keep Judge from seeing Miles in costume. Can I come into my room? Hey, I forgot to ask, did you do the calculus? Let me in! A teacher overhears this, reminding the kids that they aren't supposed to lock the doors. Ganke salutes the man, causing the teacher to become even more curious. He steps in to inspect the room. The teacher walks over to Miles' bed, where he was wrapped in the covers up to his neck, concealing his costume. The teacher reprimands the kids and walks out. This is not going to work. Why am I talking to myself all of a sudden? Later that night, Miles puts on his $80 Halloween costume to patrol the streets. He understands he got lucky last time by bumping into Kangaroo. He needs to figure out how to find the bad guys before they break the law. Suddenly, Miles' head starts to buzz. I need to figure out the buzzing in my head thing. Head buzzing? Is it cancer? Did the spider give me... Before he can figure out the concept of a spidey sense, he takes a swift kick to the face. Miles falls to the floor. Towering above him is one of Spider-Man's closest allies, Spider-Woman. Who the hell do you think you are? Who am I? Who are you? I just told you who I am. I'm Spider-Woman, so you'll have to pardon me if I'm more than a little offended by your costume. Miles refuses to cooperate, front flipping above her while threatening to call the police. He's still working on this superhero thing. Without hesitation, Spider-Woman points a finger at Miles. A web flies out, ripping off his mask. What? This is from a costume shop? You can't just go and do that. Miles covers his face with his hands and whines for his mask back. Where did you get your spider powers? I don't know who you are. Spider-Woman's had enough. She fires another web, wrapping him in a tight cocoon. He awkwardly tries to bounce away, once again threatening to call the police, but he slips, cracking his head on a light fixture. Hello? Spider-Woman checks his pulse and breathes a sigh of relief. Going to the police. What a dork. When Miles comes to, he's stuck in a holding cell. Staring back at him are Spider-Woman, Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Nick Fury. Wow, he's just a kid. It's not the kid part that bothers me, it's the Spider-Man part. The outfit is in bad taste, young man. Fury welcomes Miles to Triskelion, the headquarters of the Ultimates. What did he do? Look at him! Not exactly a federal offense. Iron Man reveals that Miles' blood work very closely resembles that of Peter Parker's. Fury kicks his fellow heroes out of the room. Fury stares at Miles behind the electronic cell wall. Another one. Fury clicks the power off to the cell. Hello, Miles. How? Do we know your name? We've got all kinds of ways to figure that out. My name is Nick Fury. How did you get your powers? Miles requests a phone call. Fury reminds him that he's not under arrest, but it feels an awful lot like being under arrest. Fury reminds the young Miles that when he wears that costume, a lot of people will be upset. Can I take it off? Can I go? Where'd you get your powers? Was that really Iron Man? Are you one of those ADD kids? Not really. I'm freaked out. Fury continues to ask how he got the powers, although he already knows the answer. You got bit by a spider. Where did this happen? My uncle's. Your uncle, Aaron Davis. Miles looks shocked. This guy really does know everything. Elsewhere on the Triskelion, a prisoner begins to awaken in a hospital bed. The patient's awake. The patient's eyes begin to fill with rage and electricity. Fury continues to interrogate Miles. Miles didn't know that his uncle was a criminal. Miles' parents don't know about Miles' powers, but Fury's really interested in one question. Why the costume? The other one, the Spider-Man one, died. I felt that with great power comes, yeah. The two continue their conversation, completely oblivious to the patient in the other room, electrocuting doctors and nurses to death. Fury tells Miles he needs more practice and a new costume, but suddenly, the power cuts out, leaving the two in a pitch black room. Is this normal? Red emergency lights pop up across the Triskelion. Fury keeps Miles close as he gets a debriefing from a subordinate. Max Dillon has escaped. Which one is that again? Electro, sir. Above the complex, Iron Man flies to meet Electro face to face. Electro's now in full power mode, glowing and floating through the air, a being of pure energy. How far do you think you'd get? I mean, really. Electro quickly handles the threat, blasting Iron Man with an electronic surge that depowers his tin suit. Iron Man falls to the ground helplessly as Electro raises his hand for another blast. Been waiting for this. But at that moment, Hawkeye comes in for support, sending a couple of well-placed arrows into Electro's back. Electro's distracted, but far from being stopped. Arrows? Really? Electro blasts Hawkeye, but is decked by Spider-Woman before he can finish the job. Electro blasts her through the Triskelion walls right in front of Fury. He cocks his gun. Everybody take cover! Fury shoots at the floating electric man, his bullets having absolutely no effect. They sizzle immediately on impact. Try to ruin my life, Fury, huh? Guess it's my turn. SHIELD agents surround Electro, continuing to helplessly fire at him. And I know I should just leave, but the chance to fry you to ash is just too yummy. Kid, run. Miles ignores him, launching a massive weapons cache at the overpowering villain. Wow, you're really like all lit up and stuff. You're dead. I saw you die. Electro fires blast after blast at Miles, but he's easily able to dodge him while throwing out Spidey-like quips while he's at it. How are you still alive? Me? How are you made of electricity? Miles throws another box at Electro, then vanishes into thin air. Electro looks around. He's not used to Spider-Man being able to do that. How did you do that? Miles appears again right behind Electro. He gently touches the back of Electro's neck. Heck if I know. Electro feels around where Miles poked him, confused and a little underwhelmed at this strategy. But suddenly, bolts of lightning stream out of Electro's body as he screams in terror. The electricity is being drained from his body. Fury fires 3 quick shots at Electro's depowered torso. SHIELD agents and superheroes alike slowly walk toward Miles, who's standing over Electro's corpse. The next day, Gunkit refuses to believe that Miles actually beat Electro. That did not happen. It all did. Dude, you're a superhero. They're interrupted by a young woman Miles doesn't recognize. Do I know you? We met up earlier. It's Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman in civilian clothes. She hands him a metallic briefcase. It's from Fury. He said you get one chance. Miles pops open the box. It's the Spider-Man costume from his drawings. Miles Morales, the dorky teenager, is officially the world's one and only Spider-Man.